To be a good killer, you have to plan things out carefully. You've got to be prepared in every way when the moment comes to strike. You cannot hesitate. Richard Ramirez. I love to kill people. I love to watch them die. I would shoot them in the head, and they would wiggle and squirm all over the place, and then just stop. Or I would cut them with a knife and watch their faces turn real white. I love all that blood. Richard Ramirez. From April 1984 until August 1985, Southern California was terrorized by one of the most violent, prolific serial killers in modern history. His name was Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. In 14 months, he killed 13 people, attempted to kill another 5, sexually assaulted 11 women, and broke into 14 homes. Ricardo Richard Leiva Muniz Ramirez was born on February 29, 1960, in El Paso, Texas. He was the youngest of 5 children of Mexican immigrants Julian and Mercedes Ramirez. A former Juarez police officer, Julian Ramirez, physically abused his family repeatedly. In addition to his father's abuse, Ramirez suffered 2 major head injuries in early childhood. A dresser fell on him when he was 2, resulting in more than 30 stitches, and a swing knocked him unconscious when he was 6. After the second head injury, the young boy developed epileptic seizures. His father was not the only bad influence in his life. By age 12, he began to spend time with his cousin Miguel, a Vietnam veteran. Miguel used to tell him stories about the war crimes he committed in Vietnam. He would show the young boy pictures of the women he had tortured, raped, and killed during his time spent there. Ramirez was fascinated by everything that Miguel told him. During the time spent with Miguel, Ramirez started smoking marijuana. Ramirez was involved in his first serious crime at age 13, when Miguel murdered his wife. Although he was not involved in the crime, he was present at the scene and did nothing to stop it. In 1973, Ramirez alienated himself entirely from his parents and moved in with his sister Ruth and her husband Roberto. Ruth's husband was as bad an influence as his cousin and his father. Roberto introduced Ramirez to voyeurism. While under Roberto's influence, Ramirez experimented with Satanism and discovered LSD. Ramirez dropped out of school in the 9th grade. In 1977, he was sent to a juvenile detention center for a series of petty crimes. In 1981, and again in 1984, he was arrested in the LA area for auto theft. In 1982, he was put on probation for marijuana possession. At 22, he moved to California. He became dependent on cocaine. To afford to buy more cocaine, he began his spree of theft and burglaries. Ramirez's killing spree began on April 10, 1984, with the rape, torture, and killing of Mi Lung, a 9-year-old girl. Her body was found hanging from a pipe in the basement of the hotel Ramirez was living in. Although this was his first crime, he was not linked to it until 2009, when DNA from the crime scene revealed he was the killer. The crimes committed by Richard Ramirez during the so-called Night Stalker era began on June 28, 1984. 79-year-old Jenny Vinco, who lived in Grassl Park, was found dead after being brutally stabbed. The attack occurred while the woman was asleep. Her throat was cut so low that she was about to be decapitated. Ramirez was associated with the crime only because his fingerprints were found on a window pane cut out to access Jenny Vinco's apartment. He struck again on March 17, 1985. This time he chose Maria Hernandez, 22. Hernandez was shot in the face but managed to survive after defending herself with her car keys. Her roommate, Dale Okazaki, was not that lucky. Ramirez shot Okazaki in the face while she was peeking out from her hiding place. A few hours later, he attacked another woman. Sailian Veronica Yu was forcefully removed from her vehicle and shot twice with a .22 caliber handgun. She did not survive. On March 27th, Ramirez attacked Vincent and Maxine Zazzara. Vincent, 64, was murdered first and by a gunshot wound. Maxine was brutally assaulted and then stabbed to death. The autopsy report revealed that many of Maxine's injuries were inflicted post-mortem. Ramirez gouged out her eyes and kept them in a jewelry box until his arrest. Later, the investigators discovered a shoe print from a pair of Avia sneakers outside of the Zazzara house. On May 14, 1985, Ramirez broke into Bill and Lillian Doy's house. The couple was tortured and assaulted. Bill Doy died of his injuries in the hospital. 15 days later, he entered the house of two sisters, both in their 80s. Mabel Ma Bell, 83, was shocked and tortured with an electrical cord. Florence Nettie Long, 81, was bound and raped. Bell died as a result of the attack. The following day, he broke into the house of Carol King, 41, and her 11-year-old son. He ransacked the house and raped Carol before leaving the scene. On July 2nd, he broke into a 75-year-old woman's home in the middle of the night, striking her with a lamp before stabbing her repeatedly with a butcher's knife from her own kitchen. 3 days later, he broke into another house and attempted to murder Whitney Bennett, 16. However, she survived. He broke into a home and ransacked it 2 days after assaulting Whitney, killing the 60-year-old homeowner, Joyce Lucille Nelson, by beating and stomping on her. He then broke into another house in the same neighborhood. He attempted to rape the 63-year-old homeowner after stealing all of her valuables. Richard Ramirez had no preferred area geographically or preferred victim type. He killed all over the south of California. At the beginning of August 1985, he attacked 2 more families in rapid succession. In Northbridge, he shot Chris and Virginia Peterson after breaking into their home. Both had survived. 2 days later, he broke into the home of Chitat and Sakina Abouith in Diamond Bar, California. Chitat was shot in his sleep. Ramirez raped Sakina and demanded her, "Swear on Satan you won't scream." Both Sakina and the couple's 3-year-old son survived the attack. On August 17th, Ramirez attacked the Pan family in San Francisco. He first shot the husband, Peter, in the head, and after, he attacked, raped, and murdered the wife, Barbara. On August 24, 1985, he tried to attack the Romero family in Mission Viejo, but failed. The family's 13-year-old child woke up and scared Ramirez. The boy managed to give the police a complete description of Ramirez's car and a partial license plate number. Ramirez committed his final act immediately after the failure in Mission Viejo. He entered into the house of Bill Cams and Inez Erickson, shot Bill first, and then attacked Inez. Ramirez made Inez swear on Satan before beating and raping her. Before leaving the scene, he told Inez to tell them the Night Stalker was here. Both victims had survived, and Inez provided the investigators a detailed sketch of the assailant. Having the description from Inez along with fingerprints found on a stolen vehicle Ramirez took from Wilshire Center, the investigators managed to establish his identity. The police detectives held a press conference, and the mugshot of Ramirez was released to the public. A group of people eventually caught him on August 30th, 1985, while he attempted to steal a car. After many delays, on September 20th, 1989, Richard Ramirez was found guilty on 43 charges, including 14 burglary charges, 11 sexual assault charges, 5 counts of attempted murder, and 13 counts of murder. 2 weeks later, the same jury that found him guilty recommended the death sentence on 19 counts. While leaving the room, Ramirez said, "Hey, big deal. Death always comes with the territory. I'll see you in Disneyland." Ramirez was sentenced to death in the gas chamber on November 7, 1989, and was sent to San Quentin Prison in California to spend his remaining days. While incarcerated, Ramirez married one of his supporters, Doreen Loy, in 1996. Ramirez waited on death row 24 years for his sentence to be fulfilled, but eventually died of B-cell lymphoma on June 7, 2013, at the age of 53.